Hello, and welcome back to my channel. It is your girl, ce-mintt. If you are new, I am so excited about reviewing this week's episode of the TS Madison Experience, okay? This episode did not disappoint because this episode kind of brought more drama to it than we saw in the previous episode, but I'm still loving every single piece of it because what they have done with this show is amazing, and we're going to talk all about it in this episode, okay? So, like, comment, subscribe, and share this video, and then let's get into it. You know how we're going to do it. We're going to be breaking down this show scene by scene, and as well through the lens of this black trans woman, okay? So, the episode starts off with us basically finding out that TS Madison is in this moment that a lot of artists find ourselves in when, like, this pandemic began, but also when a lot of, like, just things that affect the entertainment industry happen, where we then have to kind of scramble to find a solid ground as to how we can continue to create art that inspires us, but on top of it, create art that inspires us and pays the bills. And that is currently the kind of crux that she's in. She's currently trying to figure out how to actually create a show that is still her, while also having it be in the pandemic where she can't have guests like the Queen Supreme Court. Her creating the morning show where it is just her, but it's a different side of her, was one of the most beautiful things to watch because it just felt so like I was really understanding everything she was going through, because I just felt very seen at the fact of I'm an artist, I'm a drag queen, I'm a freelance artist as well, and hearing her talk about her trying to find her footing as to where she goes next and what the next direction is very much something that me and most of my community in Brooklyn in terms of drag performers all had to go through. How are we going to survive in this new time where we're all still trying to grapple with all the things going on in our personal life, but still we have to keep making money and supporting people? And so for me, I loved getting to see the fact that she came up with this morning talk show idea, and it's just a different side of her. It's a side of her that still shines, but without having a guest host there. So I loved it. And I also really loved the fact that she was talking about how she felt like she was starting from scratch, or it was stepping backwards by starting a new project, which is a struggle that I have every single time I do it as an artist. Because there's so many new skills you have to discover. There are so many new skills that you have to polish up on that you hadn't been polished up on before. You're completely figuring out a new way of entertaining. And so for me, those are the moments that I have to remind myself are moments that are teaching me. These are my Beyonce moments. Seeing T.S. Madison go from the Queen Supreme Court to the morning show was amazing, because it was a real moment of like, you are a versatile entertainer who is cutting your teeth on so many different platforms and different types of performances that it makes me feel even more invested in TS, because like, she's saying she's going to be a superstar. I believe she's going to be a superstar. But to see her really like being the superstar is just like, oh, yes, bitch, you were a star, you shine, and honestly, it makes me happy. And we also get to find out that her mom tested positive for coronavirus, but then find out later on in like a few minutes of watching that it was actually a false positive, and her mom can come back from Florida where she had gone to quarantine. And I really connected with the conversation that she had about what it was like for her mom to leave, for her to have tested positive, for them to not know if they were going to ever see each other again, and that was the last time they might see each other. It was something that was so honest and real and vulnerable, and part of why I'm really loving this show so much and don't have that many negative things to say about it is because it does such a good job of working as protest material in terms of like visibility of black trans people and black queer people and black people in general, but as well on top of it, like just amazing television. Because at the end of the day, reality TV, we are all drawn into it because we connect with these people because they're showing a vulnerability that most of us keep inside to ourselves. To actually be on camera 24/7, you can't act your way through it. You are truly showing your behaviors. You truly cannot hide who you are 24/7. For me, it's amazing reality TV, but it's also amazing visibility, and this all works as a form of activism as well. So I think that TS is doing an amazing job of both. And on top of it, part of the thing that I even love about it is that it's more rooted in her just being a star and an entertainer. And so seeing these moments where you're watching not only a star have a conversation with her mom about like all of the emotion she was going through her having to leave after testing positive for corona, and as well not knowing what would happen, but as well seeing a black trans woman have that conversation with her mom where you know that they love each other and that like they see each other for who they really are, respect each other and love each other for who they are. So it was a very impactful scene on a lot of different levels, and I felt so grateful that they shared it on screen. Something that was very, very, very easy to connect to with Madison on top of all of this was the fact that she has no job security as a performer. And I relate to it, everyone I know relates to it. It's the fact that when this pandemic hit, there is no safety net to protect performers. Not a single one, especially when you're a black trans performer. It's like you're already discounted from most workplaces and work environments as possible job opportunities, but on top of it, now the one source of income that you really have where you don't have to change a piece of yourself, where you can really be yourself in order to make your money, is completely shut down and canceled. And it's not like the government is coming for you. It's not like, you know, you have rich friends to take care of you. And mind you, TS Madison is a star. TS Madison is a known name. A name who you'd be like, well, I mean, doesn't she have money to take care of it? When, no, most performers do not actually make that much money. We have enough money to live and survive and treat ourselves to things, but the money just kind of comes in as we keep working. There's not much way of like building up equity or stock in something where like all of a sudden you just have passive income where you don't have to work. And so to see TS going through it was a real honest moment that I feel like most celebrities may not show that much vulnerability with going through, because literally she was just sitting there saying, I don't got money, I don't got a way to work, and I'm not ashamed of it. These bills are on the table. This is what's going down. And the fact that, again, she then was talking about the fact of like the money that she brings in that supports not only her, but her entire team of people. Craig, Chi-Chi, Oliver, her mom, every single person in her team is affected by this. And I can understand how that takes a toll on your mental health. The fact that you are now not able to be the breadwinner and be able to provide for the people that you've been providing for, and through no fault of your own. So I just really connected with her, and I think they did an amazing job of representing the struggles that she was going through during the beginning of this pandemic. I don't know what's going to happen throughout the rest of it, but I think they're doing a really beautiful job of representing it. But in the next scene, we get to actually see her filming an episode of her morning show, which I absolutely loved getting to see because it was a true and honest depiction of what it is like to try to create your own content by yourself, or even with the help of one person in this pandemic. Because you're not only your sound, you're not only your lighting, you're not only your makeup artist, you're not only your costume designer or stylist, you're not only your hairstylist, but on top of it, if any of these kinks come up, you now have to jump out of character and then start to focus about technical issues, which like you can't even fix during a live show. Getting to see her do it was one that I really connected to, and I think that if you're not a performer, you just got a really good grasp of what it is like to try to be doing digital drag shows and do digital anything shows. And on top of it, mind you, TS Madison, again, has the equipment and everything, but in a pandemic, what are you supposed to do with it? And it was such an honest moment because I don't got the money to have a team. I don't have all the equipment or nothing. But still, it's like you still have to try to find a way to do it. And the fact that TS pulled the whole thing off, stayed in character, did the whole goddamn thing, and then afterwards was like talking to the tech guy like, okay, so like, what's going on? I can't focus on what I'm doing if I'm focusing on whether the sound is going to cut out, because I can't do 3 jobs at once, especially when the job is entertaining. Because if you're not focused on your entertaining, the entertainment is not good. Like, I can guarantee you, you can always tell when a performer is thinking about something on camera or on stage or anything instead of actually in the moment. Like, the fact that there was a mouse missing, I was like, who moved the mouse? Like, don't you need the mouse? Why is the mouse not with the computer consistently? I don't understand. But it was also like, I keep thinking, oh yeah, in the pandemic, I can't even imagine what was going through. Like, I don't know the last time I was able to go to Madison's house. Like, let me use this mouse real quick and then forgetting to put it back. There was just so many moments where I was like, this is real relatable dysfunction, but at the same time, it makes good reality TV. And on top of it, I loved her getting to say exactly what she needed in order to do her job the best. Because oftentimes, performers aren't necessarily like encouraged to actually say what they need to do their best job. They're kind of just expected to show up and do the thing. The same way that, like, you know, people don't think that models do anything. They're like, oh, you just show up and look pretty. We're like, no, bitch. There's a lot that goes into actually being a model. Yeah, it's like one of those things where, like, it was great to see a performer actually get to stand up and be like, no, this is what I need to do my job, and I'm not feeling even comfortable doing these things because I don't have what I need. And I loved it. In the next scene, I love getting to see Maddie sit down and talk about her concerns about Chi-Chi and him smoking weed in every single thing that he does, because while weed is typically not known as something that can be harmful, it can be. Literally anything can be harmful if you do it too much. And it was one of those real things that I was like, I can't remember the last time that I heard someone actually talk about being concerned about someone's marijuana consumption. You know what I mean? I don't remember the last time I saw it on reality TV where somebody was like, he is smoking too much. Like, it's actually impairing who he is and what he is doing. And it made me really happy to see the concern. But on top of it, to see the concern not like in most reality TVs where it's like, I'm gonna show concern by going and telling all 25 people about this thing. And it was like, no, sitting down with, I think she was sitting down with her mom and talking about it, and was just like, it was either her or Legra, and they were sitting down and they were talking about it, and it was something that was really heartfelt, and I really liked the way they talked about it because it was just about care and sensitivity and what's going on with my friend and my loved one and making sure that they were doing good. And so I really appreciated it, and I can't wait to see how that unfolds as we move forward in terms of the conversations that had happened with Chi-Chi. Oh, the next scene. The next scene is what I feel like sets up what Maddie is going to be working on for the next, like, rest of the episodes, because her sitting down with the publicist was one of those moments where I've always thought about what it'd be like for me as a black trans woman to sit down with a publicist who's trying to craft my image and trying to figure out what markets I can best break into. And getting to see the conversation that Maddie had with her, it was one that is literally exactly how I expected it to go if I ever did it. And the only saving grace of the scene for me was Legra being there. Maddie having a friend there who could translate what the publicist was saying into terms that weren't actually changing yourself, because the publicist the whole time is saying, we really want to pitch you to all these things. You'd be amazing for all these different opportunities. You're hysterical. I've been watching you. But there's just a lot of raunch. There's a lot of raunch. There's a lot of raunch. And they just kept saying raunch, but in the same way I was just like, do you mean sexuality? TS was like, do you know me? I believe in showcasing all of the aspects of your personality. But for me, listening to it, she was just very much kind of saying like, if I get you on the talk or if I get you on here, they won't necessarily want you to do that. For me, I think that TS could easily be the person who breaks through and makes raunch the thing that like is normal again. Because raunch is fine. Raunch is a part of life, in my opinion. Raunch is the type of thing that is just literally built off of censorship and people not wanting people to express their sexuality. So for me, I was listening like, okay, but it wasn't until Legra said that basically amplify other portions of who you are that I was like, okay, I feel now I see a way for her to accomplish what the publishers wanted without having to change herself. Because I was like, I guess that's kind of what the morning show was doing, which is like, yeah, you don't have, doesn't need to always be the exact same thing, but more or less what other pieces of you can you showcase and share that we can put on TV. And Legra is the reason why I really liked the scene at the end of it, because I don't think that the publicist was malicious. I don't think the publicist is a bad person. I think the publicist is doing what publicists need to do, which is we're trying to make you the most palatable possible so that way every single person could just be like, amazing, there's not a single thing I don't like about her. There's not a single thing that I can't click like on. There's not a single reason why I won't hit follow. That's what publicists do. So I'm not mad at the publicist. I'm mad at the system. I'm mad at the fact that TS Madison cannot go on to the talk as her raunchy ass self. Because in my opinion, it creates a whole level of certain conversations can only happen in certain circles, and I don't believe that. I don't believe that T.S. Madison's voice should not be at the table of the talk. And it's not that I don't think that the publicist doesn't think her voice should be there too. I think that she thinks the head executives of there won't say yes to T.S. because her name is T.S. and they Google what T.S. means. And it's things like that that I'm like, I hate the system. But I think the publicist is just helping her navigate it in order to help her get to a point where she can break through and then be herself, you know? I think it's a very nuanced situation because there's no road book to this. There's no one who's done it before. She's literally the first black trans person to produce their own reality show. She's paving ways. So for me, I loved getting to see the scene. I love getting to see how T.S. Madison stood her ground while as well took critique and is going to implement it. So I was happy with it. I'm excited to see it. And I have to say again, I appreciate the fact that it seems like everyone is moving with intention, genuine intention, and not like for the cameras, genuine intention of wanting TS to stay TS, but just trying to their best to get her into the places where more people can see her. And that's something I liked about the publicist, is that it seemed like she was being like, no, I love TS, like, trust me, I've been following, but CBS won't put you on the show if they go through your Instagram and see this. And I understand it, but I just don't like, you know, the system of it all. In my world, TS deserves the world, but I understand. And so I liked seeing the scene. And then we get the laser hair removal scene. Very cute, very fun. I love getting to see her and Allegra go for it. I love getting to see her going for a gender affirming like surgery. Not really a surgery, a procedure, because it's something that I'm going to be undergoing soon. Pretty soon, as soon as I can get to my healthcare provider, because a hoe just got Medicaid, bitch. Yes, New York State, thank you for helping me. Thank you, Health First. If anybody in New York State needs healthcare, Health First will literally get you healthcare so easily. It took less than 2 days. I literally had the card in the mail because it's not that difficult to prove that you don't make enough money to like pay for healthcare. So, get it done. That's a weird digression, but when it comes to seeing her do the laser hair, it made me really happy. It even made me feel a little bit more comfortable. I was thinking about what friend am I going to ask to go with me to go get laser hair, because I've been thinking more and more about it as a trans woman, and I'm already kind of a hairless person, but I want to make sure there's nothing growing. I want the follicles gone. And I love seeing her go for that procedure and getting to be herself again. I love seeing her exist in stereotypically cis straight places. So it made me happy to see. And then we reach the climax of the episode, the final scene. The sit down where all the team gets back together after everyone has been creating their own content. Everyone has been figuring out new ways in order to make money during the pandemic. Some people have also been like expanding their businesses and working on projects themselves. And so this scene, in my opinion, was fantastic. It was absolutely everything that I needed in terms of all of them being down in the same space. And because in the last episode, we basically saw them working together the entire time, it was great to see the check-in about where they're at and what they're doing with their own work. But it was nice to see that all of the little things that came up in the first episode, like Maddie being like, oh, I need this on time. I need this on time so I could pay you on time type of thing. And the first episode is now coming up to the forefront in terms of like, okay, so this is the thing that is like beyond just a cutesy little thing like we saw in the first episode. Like, getting paid on time was a consistent thing that Oliver was upset about. And I love that Oliver and Maddie's conversation and confrontation was never like dehumanizing to the other or never anything that tore the other person down. Because the whole time I was like, it just feels like neither of you are hearing what the other one is saying, because they're both kind of just standing their ground instead of recognizing that, like, Oliver is saying that you're asking for more things, you're asking for me to give more time and ask me to fix things that have gone wrong before and give you even better work, but I haven't even gotten the things that I've needed in order to feel like I'm valued. Like, it seems like very much like all he wanted was an acknowledgement of what TS like had done in terms of not paying on time, and there are things that she has not been perfect in, because I feel like Oliver very much was just like, you're not owning up to any of the things that you haven't been 100% perfect on, while asking us to be 100% perfect on things just didn't feel right. Just doesn't feel balanced, and that's what I think Oliver was trying to say. And for me, I think that Maddie, well, we didn't necessarily get all of what Maddie actually thought. I felt like Maddie's was kind of edited where like, we're gonna get more of what that conversation is in the next episode, but in my head, it was very much like Maddie was coming down to be like, okay, so like, if we're gonna be coming back together to do everything, we need to actually like do the thing. Like, let's iron out the kinks of everything from before so we can come up here. But I think that Maddie was just very taken off guard in terms of Oliver hadn't mentioned it before. So if you're just bringing up something that you haven't talked about before that has been a consistent issue, if you come at it in terms of like, I think that Oliver had been bottling up how he felt about not getting paid on time consistently, and every time Maddie would then ask for like a better quality of work, and she is very much justified in asking for a higher like product of work, but I think that every time she would ask for a higher product of work, it would just like kind of trigger him as like, you're asking me to do better when you're not even paying me on time every time. And we'll have to get to the bottom of whether she actually paid people on time, like what the actual specifics of it is, because we haven't gotten all the details of it. But I think that Maddie was just taken off guard by it, because I think that if the energy that kind of came at her wasn't already at 100, because in my opinion, Maddie just told Oliver about like, well, like, we need the video to be actually on time and everything. And I think that when Oliver came back, it was kind of like one of those things where when you've been bottling it up, you have all of the argument in your head already. You have every single argument lined up, because every time you bottled it up, you said, and she really gonna ask me for this? And I don't think that Oliver was like petty, because you saw exactly how upset he was about it. I just think that he had bottled it up, and that's why like he stormed off and had as much energy invested in it. And I think TS was just taken off guard by the energy, because she was like, you're acting real hurt right now, and it feels like you're attacking me, and I'm not understanding why you're attacking me, you know, because we're just here to sit down. I loved it because it was a beautiful representation of what like healthy confrontation can be. Did they get to a consensus yet? No. I think we're gonna get it in the next scene, in the next episode. But it was so beautiful because no one had to be called a name, nobody was called a slur, nobody had to be attacked for who they were. It was literally just, we're trying to get on the same page about this, and we're not on the same page. It was something so different for me to see in reality TV, and I think that Maddie is really breaking the mold on what reality TV can be, because I've never seen a confrontation like this where like someone's not a bitch, someone's not an asshole, someone's not getting called out their name. And it was so great to see, because on top of it, when Oliver was like, I can't do this and I need to leave, it was like Miss Mary was even like, and I'm gonna be mad at you now for leaving because you leaving with the wrong energy. It was the type of thing where it was just so family. Do I think that like, I don't want to see anybody in confrontation, I don't want to see anybody fighting, but that's reality. That's literally reality. And on top of it, reality TV. So it was something so amazing to see, and I really hope for a resolution soon, and I want the team to stay together. I really hope this team stays. I don't want them to lose anybody, because even down to Craig, who was working on his own stuff, I was like, Craig, you were so necessary to this team. You bring such a, like, an anchoring energy to it. In my opinion, he feels like the dad of the show. Like, you know what I mean? Like, his energy is always like, it feels like he's in control of things, but at the same time, silent in control. You know what I mean? Very, like, paternal, watching over, helping, protecting, loving, but may not be the most like emotive, or necessarily might not outwardly show the emotion. Very much cares 1,000,000%, but just doesn't show it outwardly. I loved all of it, and yeah, this was another amazing episode in my opinion. I really fucking loved every single piece of it. Confrontation, love, honesty, vulnerability, and it was another fantastic episode. I can't wait for the next one. Well, that is that on that. That is it for this episode. Another episode in the can, and I'm just overjoyed, and I think that the show is still consistently topping itself in terms of, I'm not able to predict what's about to happen next, even down to their relationships. Like, I thought that she was going to get into an argument with Craig before she with Oliver. So actually seeing how everything is unfolding while as well keeping the love and the positivity going makes me so happy. So I will see you for the next episode. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Mwah. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.